G'day everyone, today we are taking the 707 operations tour, the Winelander and the Walkerlander to, well just depending on where you're going, to Castlemaine, which is about 2 hours outside of Melbourne. And from there we're going to catch a bus and go out to the regional town of Daylesford to ride their Heritage Railway, who are doing a special at the moment. So if that sounds really good and you want to keep up to date with the videos I've got coming out, don't forget to be subscribed so you can keep up to date with everything I've got coming out in the future. Anyway, let's get into it. So we're just waiting for the locomotives to run around. Today we've got locomotive R707 and Pacific National, or I think it's former Pacific National, I'm not quite sure what the ownership situation's like, S307, which, yeah, so we've got a Streamliner and the mighty Hudson locomotive. Both are about the same kind of vintage, which is kind of interesting that that's what we've got. Anyway, we've got a consist made up today of some old Victorian Railways cars, this South Australian BK, which looks like it's just had a repaint or halfway through a repaint, as well as some South Australian and Victorian Railways shared stock, which were the overland cars that are on this. As well as that, we do have a guards van down the end, which is a PCP van, I believe. Anyway, looks like a pretty good consist, looks like a good heritage roster. Almost a bit of a pity about the Pacific National paint on the S. I think if it was in a nice V-line or a VR livery, it'd be a bit better. Anyway, these locomotives are going to run around, so we'll get to watch that happening, and then we'll jump aboard the train. So once the hour had run around, we made our way over to the platform to get our tickets, or rather show them that we had tickets for the trip. Now I've realised I've possibly said the wrong thing on the day when I shot this, but the trip was put on by 707 Operations and was a run to Castlemaine, where they had two tour options. One was the Winelander, which was a premium experience with wine tasting on board, plus a trip to the Sutton Grange winery. The other, more suited to us rail fans, was a trip to the Daylesford Spa Railway, to coincide with their event, Walkerfest. Now there's no allocated seating on a 707 Operations tour, at least for the non-first class passengers, which is something I don't personally like, as it is somewhat difficult to sit with friends, and as we were in a group of 6, we did have to scramble to save a compartment. We managed to secure one built in 1940, BRS 224. So I guess for us it worked out well, and we still had enough time to mill around and take a look at the 1951 built 462 Hudson. Strangely, S306 did stay on the rear of the train, which I thought was a little unusual for a Victorian mainline tour. Anyway, at 9:10 AM on the dot, we departed. Now this consist, which we'll have a bit more of a look at in a little bit, was all steel carriages, which I believe means we can run at a maximum of 115 kilometers an hour. However, do correct me if I'm wrong. Leaving the city on our trip to Castlemaine, which is about 130 kilometres from Melbourne, we passed through the usual industrial areas and railway yards, although the big highlight on this day was getting a good look at P14 and a BGKF wagon that had derailed at the down end of Tottenham Yard. We quickly made our way out of the city into regional Victoria, passing through sleepy towns and over epic things like the Taradale Viaduct. Now, if you have watched my other trip reports, I do love the open air experience of a heritage train, especially with those wooden body carriages. However, as this train was made up with more modern rolling stock, you can't open the windows. However, they have converted Powervan PCP 294 to both an observation carriage as well as being a head-end power van, which makes for a truly excellent experience. Now, the train did keep solid pace and we arrived at Castlemaine pretty well, exactly on time, at around 11:20 in the morning. Right, so we've travelled on time up to Castlemaine, which, if you know Castlemaine, there is the Victorian Goldfields Railway here, which we're not catching today. That will be in a total another video later on. Now, we're ditching this train to go catch a bus, which is going to take us, I think it's about 30 minutes down the road to Daylesford, where we're going to go to the Daylesford Spa Railway. So, let's go do that. It's been a pretty good trip so far. I should also point that out, because, yeah.
The mad lads, what's happening? What's happening up us?
Alright, so after about half an hour, we are now out here at Daylesford. This is on the former, I guess, Carlsruhe line, which would join up, well, at Carlsruhe, and then you could keep going the other way and you would, well, actually, one way you would go to Ballarat, one way you would go to Carlsruhe, and then this was a terminus station. Now, out here, they don't have any steam engines, but they do run diesels and rail cars, which is really, really cool. Plus, they've got all these old works cars, you've got different bits of infrastructure, you've even got some old four-wheel wagons and things like that. So lots to see and do. Now we're out here for Walkerfest, which is their rail motors, which we'll get into a little bit more information about soon. So we'll take a look around and we'll tell you all about the Daylesford Railway here. Daylesford Spa Country Railway operates on a section of line between Daylesford and Bellato and is open every Sunday as well as Wednesdays during school holidays, and all the information for visiting will be in the description below. On the afternoon of Walkerfest, we were treated to a short ride on the 1953 built and recently restored RM32 from the station to the work sheds. We got to have, I guess, a rarely seen look inside the sheds, which housed their DRC, Brill trailer, C-type guards van, walkers and derms in different stages of restoration. Not to mention that the other shed, located a little closer to the station, also housed the oldest rail motor, the 1925 Leyland, as well as this excellent Y-Class and Z-type guards van. The railway also has a huge collection of track maintenance machines, rolling stock, as well as the very interesting workman's maintenance. In short, we had an excellent afternoon out there, and the staff were friendly and they were happy to share any information and knowledge when we asked. They also had a little barbecue on when we went. Although I know on a Sunday when the railway is normally open, there is a market with a lot more food options. Anyway, that's a very brief overview of our afternoon at the Daylesford Spa Country Railway. So, we've been out to Daylesford and now we've come back. Only about half an hour between the two places, and Daylesford was excellent. I had a really, really good time. It was really cool to see through all the sheds and see what they've got on offer, and I really can't wait to go back to the Daylesford Railway to ride the full trip. And I think, talking to the chaps I'm with, might go back in winter when it's hopefully snowing, and I think that would make for a really, really interesting, really, really different video. So if you'd like to see that, of course, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, we're currently back at Castlemaine, waiting for the train to shunt back in. It's just come out of the VGR platform and is now going to run into platform 2. I guess we'll probably follow one of the Velocity trains back into Melbourne. Anyway, we have got an addition on this consist going back. It looks like they've put VGR's Loanna buffet car onto this consist. I assume that's because 707 operations do have some, I guess there's some overnight trips coming up, which I really, really want to do one day. I've just got to save up a little bit more because they're a little bit out of my price bracket for a trip, but it is something that I do intend to do, and when I do, of course, I'll make a video. So anyway, we're going to jump back aboard the train and head back to Melbourne. Now, when we were on the train on the way back from Castlemaine, 707 Operations posted that they had in fact purchased Loanna. So I guess we'll find out more about their plans for this car later on. Now, let's have a little look at the consist of this train. I already mentioned PCP 294 and BRS 224. As well as that, there was BK 708, Club Car 1, which was formerly Victoria, BS 215, BS 212, and JTA 6. And it was nice to walk through the train as almost all of it has been kept in original condition. Although having been through Victorian and South Australian Railways, V-Line, West Coast and other operators throughout the years. I think of particular interest was the former South Australian Railways BK car, which was still outfitted with a bar and everything from when it ran with the Northern Rivers Railroad and Ritz Rail. Alright, it's a little bit past 7 PM and we're back in Melbourne at Southern Cross. Excellent day. It was a little bit of a slow journey going back, but still thoroughly enjoyable. Everyone that I travelled with had an excellent day and I can't honestly wait to do it again. I guess if you have any feedback about this, were you on the trip or did you just really like this video? If you were, leave me some feedback in the comments. And of course, if you did enjoy the video and you're not yet, please be subscribed because it helps you keep up to date with everything that I've got coming out in the future. Now, I will leave details about 707 Operations in the description below, how you can become a member and save yourself some money on a trip like one of these. And yeah, my best tip, grab some mates, book a carriage, book a compartment, and have a grouse day out. It was fantastic, absolute 10 out of 10. So until next time, thank you so much for watching and I'll see you again really, really soon. Hooroo! I'll leave you with one more shot of it running around and then it'll be off.